Hello and welcome. Today we're going to continue reviewing SAT Practice Test 2, the Math No Calculator section. We had many videos before this on the other portions of this section and the calculator section, but today we're going to be reviewing questions 11 to 15. As always, if you find these videos helpful and informative, be sure to like and subscribe. Let's do this question. Number 11. Which of the following complex numbers is equal to 3 minus 5i over 8 plus 2i? This is a pretty challenging problem.
Right? Let's see how we would approach it. Well, first, we factor 1 to get 1/2 times 3 minus 5i over 4i. Right? It might seem like a small thing to do, but it does make the problem significantly easier just by getting rid of that constant. The numbers are now smaller. Now, we can multiply both the numerator
and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. Now, the conjugate is a very special property that you should always memorize. You should always remember what it means. And so the conjugate is basically when you have
a irrational number or a complex number, you take the rational part and you keep it the same. And you take the irrational or imaginary part and you flip the sign. So if you have 4 plus I, you make it 4 minus I. If you had 4 minus I, you'd make it 4 plus I. If you had 4 plus the square root of 2, you'd make it 4 minus the square root of 2. That's how the conjugate works. And the reason we use conjugates is by the a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b logic. Right? Because when you do that, you get an rational number in the denominator. Right? You might have done this in school. It's called rationalizing the denominator. It used the same concept of simply using the conjugate. Right? So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. And that helps us get the denominator makes 17. That's an integer, a rational number. While the numerator becomes 7 minus 23i. So we split that up, we get 7 over 34 minus 23i over 34. Or we got this by just by foiling out the 3 minus 5i times 4 minus i. And all of this is equivalent to answer choice C. Let's move on. Question number 12. The website uses the formula above to calculate a salad for rating are based on the number of favorable reviews F and unfavorable reviews N. Which of the following expresses the number of favorable reviews in terms of the other variables? Let's see what we can do here. Well, we can multiply both sides by N plus F to get R plus R equals F. We subtract the RF to get Rn equals F minus Rf. Then we divide by 1 minus R, and we get Rn over 1 minus R equals F. Answer choice B. Let's move on. Question number 13. What is the sum of all values of m that satisfy 2m squared minus 16m plus 8? Now, some of you might be tempted to just simply bust out the quadratic formula and start calculating, but there are some easier ways that you should pay heed to. We can use this thing called Vienna's formulas, right? You might not have heard of these, but Vienna's formulas say that the sum of the roots of a quadratic formula are negative b over a, and the product of the roots are c over a. Sum of the roots minus b, so b is 16, negative 16, right? So if we're writing ax squared plus bx plus c, that's where we get the abc from. B is negative 16, a is 2, so negative b over a is going to be negative of negative 16 over 2, or simply 8, which is d. You can memorize these formulas, and you can always use them when you're trying to find the sum and product of the roots. It makes it so much easier to calculate these instead of using the quadratic formula. You should always think about these formulas when they ask you something involving the quadratic, because most likely they're not going to give you a quadratic formula in most cases, because they don't want you to just be busting through a bunch of numbers, because that takes time. This is a time test. Alright, let's move on. Number 14, a radioactive substance decays at an annual rate of 13%. The initial amount of the substance is 225 grams. The following functions: F minus the remaining amount of substance in grams t years later. Well, we start at 325, so that's going to be the number in front. And then every year there will be 13% decayed, so 87% of the initial will remain. So that would be 325 times 0.87 to the t, which is answer choice A. Let's move on to our last question of this set. The expression 5x minus 2 over x plus 3 is equivalent to which of the following? Well, let's see what we can do here. We can write 5x minus 2 as 5x plus 3 minus 17. Then 5x minus 2 over x plus 3 is 5, x plus 3 minus 17 over x plus 3, or 5 minus 17 over x plus 3, which is answer choice D. Alright, now that would be all the questions for this set. Make sure to tune in next time when we finish out this SAT practice test 2, the math sections, as we do questions 16 to 20, the 5 random response questions on this section. Until then, see you next time.